And just like that, it's Wednesday. Hello, everybody. I'm Russ Kane. This is The Daily Show, coming at you always live, completely uncensored, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Yeah, what a day. What a day yesterday. I went down on business to the coast. Has anybody used the M25 or the M20 recently? Holy God. This is Men's radio station, by the way. It was a nightmare. I decided to drive. My business partner decided to drive, and our associate decided to drive. It was dire. Speaking of dire, ladies and gentlemen, you know him and love him. Where's he gone? Oh, there he is. Here he is.
Speaking of dire, well, that's just lovely. Thank you very much indeed.
I don't know what to say. I'm in a very odd mood today. I'm a very
at best,
peculiar,
that was tenuous. That was tenuous.
It was-
Tenuous at best, and that's being generous.
It wasn't good. It wasn't good. Have you been? It was lovely to see you the other day. I went round to Casa Long, the Long Ranch, as it's known in New Malden, and it was very, very nice. It was young Kenneth's surprise birthday, but I've never seen anybody look less surprised than Ken.
He knew 2 days ago, and I don't know how he knew.
Because he's not from this planet.
He does have uncanny abilities.
He's uncanny.
But it was a nice thing. Still a lovely time.
I'll try that one again.
Thank you for coming.
One more shot. It was very nice. It was quite a traipse, but I don't care. It was lovely to see you and Liz Saul and Ken, and to my amazement, Ken has brothers.
Yes, indeed.
Who knew? Who knew? Anyway, Robert Van Buren. Yeah, you're right. He knew. Hello, Robert Van Buren. Hello, Russ and Neil. And all the way from Manhattan in New York City, Elizabeth Green here. We're not doing roll call.
We're not taking a register.
We're not doing the roll call. Put your hands up. Green, Elizabeth. Here, sir. Yeah, anyway, so I was heading down to the coast on business, looking at expanding men's radio station and women's radio station. It's all the technical stuff, which I will not bore you with. And oh my God, I left oodles time. Get on the M25. Now explain this. You know everything, right? And suddenly the sat nav says, you will be in a 30-minute queue. Doesn't talk like that, but it'll do. So I'm sitting there. The traffic's going like nowhere. So I'm just listening to my book on audio and everything, just trying to chill out. Thank God I left early. And on the other side, on the opposite side of the motorway, huge crash, absolutely gigantic. And I'm thinking this traffic's very light. Of course, it's very light coming the other way. It's completely blocked. I've never seen so many ambulances, fire engines, police on motorbikes, police on cars, police in vans. It was huge. And it's absolutely, I agree with. And I thought, oh, there must be the accident on our side. But no, the accident was on the other side. So I'm just sitting there. And when you get, and the police were forcing us off the lanes, so all the traffic, and I'm driving, and all the traffic moves to the lane, and we get there, nothing on our side of the road at all. So going one way, it was, I don't understand it. That was half an hour. Coming back, the queue, it was so terrible. I just abandoned it completely. Oh, we've got a nice little message. Would you care to read this from your chum, Liz Saul?
It was lovely to see you too. Ken was surprised we got hold of his brothers and some of his friends, including you, Russ.
No, it was nice. It was very, very pleasant. He's a very, very nice man. Now, what have we got? Uh-oh. This is a dog thing. Hey, everyone. The atmosphere in Voice Villas is very cool today. Roddy's
been to the groomer.
Uh-oh. He did come back wearing a very fetching bandana, but he will not speak to you for at least an hour. An hour. No. Liz, it wasn't the rubberneckers is what I used to call them in the eye. You know, they're slowing down. Ooh, look. It wasn't that at all. We were forced to a halt. All the cars, all of us were forced to a halt. It wasn't people slowing down to have a look. They shut the lanes. Nothing we could do. Morning,
on your side?
Yes.
Oh.
On my side. This is the point I'm trying to make.
Morning all, I'm getting my knitting ready for a craft fair on Saturday in Old Town of Wims.
I didn't understand any of that. don't understand it. I don't understand this. Morning all. I'm getting my knitting ready for a craft fair on Saturday. I'm with you this far. And then it says, in Coal Town of Whims. What is that? Is that an album? Was that like
Can I
the
share something funny
Prodigy's
before we get
third
started?
album or something? What is that? Coal Town
I have
of Whims?
no idea. It's reminded me of something.
Go on.
Can I just share something funny?
Yeah. Please. I'd be
So I
the
get
way
this
I'm
text,
feeling today.
and I
That'd
didn't
be
know if I
great.
was being scammed or not, because as you know, I've got a little habit of playing with scammers.
Oh,
I feel
yeah,
it's a public
we love
service.
it when you do that. We love it when
Well,
you
I
do
feel
that.
it's a public service. If I waste their time, they can't be stealing from people. But I don't know if this was a scam or not. So I might have actually been completely rude to a perfectly innocent stranger, or I could have avoided a scam. But you decide. We'll take a straw poll, all right, dear listeners.
Okay.
Just put in the chat, scam or not scam, depending on what you think, all right?
Or not scam. Play along, everybody, with Neil.
Okay. Hello, are you travel agent Feliz? And I said no, but nice to meet you. She says, I'm so sorry, I entered the wrong number carelessly. Hope this message doesn't bother you. I said, no worries. She says, thank you. You're a kind and friendly person. Blush emoji. I said, that's okay. She then sends it again. And then I thought, I'll respond from now in Barry Manilow song titles and see if she notices. So she says, my name is Ming Lee, but you can call me Lily. What's your name? I said, Barry, but you can call me Manilow. She said, nice to meet you, Manilow. I said, thanks. I made it through the rain. She said, I'm from Lanzhou, China. I'm from Lanzhou, China. Where are you from? I said, the Bermuda Triangle, and my wife's name is Mandy. She says, is it raining at your place? I said, she came, and she gave without taking, but she sent me away. It's all coming back to me now. She said, what do you mean? There's no island where you live. I said, yes, there is, at the Copacabana. She says, I'm from China. Where are you staying? And I was really proud of this one. I said, at the Reedham and Weep.
That's very good.
So she says, I know you're from that beautiful city. Maybe I will travel to your city when I come to Europe. I'm coming to London, not London, in 3 months. So you can tell me all about it. Blushing emoji. Vote now. Scam or no scam?
First vote is in. We're getting in. We're just getting news in from the jury. Yes, David Baum. David Baum has voted scamish. She's a crypto trader.
Yes, scamish.
David Baum. That's David Baum's vote.
I'm not sure about David.
Now do we have anything from Scotland? Waiting for the Scottish jury under the stewardship of Sue Sleet. Have we got? No, not yet. Waiting for that. Liz Saul coming in from Liz Saul from the London jury. Who's scamming who? Excellent question, but that's not quite the look. We're looking for a vote here. We are looking for a vote.
I'll do Aretha Franklin song titles next time, Liz.
Now, this is interesting. This is from Daisy. Dave, I'm so sorry. I was in a meeting yesterday and you phoned and I was going mad. I didn't have my glasses on. I thought it was another Dave who was phoning me from outside the room. Don't ask. My head's all over the place at the moment. Greetings, one and all. I'm listening in. Excellent. But still responding. Now, I don't know anything about this, which is embarrassing, but I should do. But if you want to come on the show, Dave, and let me know, do. Still responding to Sir Mark Rowley's mental health bombshell. Hope everyone has a great day.
I don't know what you mean by this. I'm sorry.
No, Dave, we need to know more. Right. Votes coming in now. The London jury with under the judge Liz Saul, scam all round. Let's go now to Guildford in Surrey. Julie Voice, scam, but very funny, Neil. Let's go up now to the Scottish jury, and that is Sue Sleet. Scanner.
That's a horror film. That's an old David Cronenberg horror film.
What that's we got? Now, Liz, this is rather vulgar. You're asking Sue Sleet. Sue Sleet, are you knitting the boys willy warmers?
You wouldn't have enough wool for me.
Dream on, just keep dreaming. Now, apparently, Coal Town of Whims, sounds like a sort of it sounds like a Thomas Hardy novel, doesn't it? The Coal Town of Whims on BBC Two, starring Nicola Walker. It's a small village in Fife. Okay,
it's not as nice as Reedham and Weep.
No, Reedham and Weep is better. And Michael Verby, just back from Portugal, having seen Coldplay. Oh, I'm so sorry. Are you okay?
That's all right. We can fix you.
We can. Hey, do you know something? This is awful. I couldn't tell you.
Just to be serious for a minute.
Okay.
Because it's all been very, very silly. But I'm going to say this, and this is my opinion. This is not the opinion of Men's Radio Station,
All right, okay.
MRS, necessarily.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sure you will, as the leader of MRS, you will tell me whether you agree or not. But I feel really sorry for Philip Schofield because he has broken no laws, and I don't think it's fair that someone should just have everything cancelled and lose everything overnight in a heartbeat for something which millions of people have done in one form or another. Why is it when people are famous, people want to bring them down? Might be unwise what he did. Some might consider it's legal but not moral. That's up to you. And I kind of tend to go down that way of thinking anyway. Maybe, maybe not. Not that it's my business. But he broke no laws. Why is he being treated differently?
Do we want to get it? We can get into this. I've really.
Do you agree with me or not? I mean,
I don't agree with you.
Okay, then I'd love to hear your opinion. Why?
I tell you that I wrote a long piece on Facebook. You're welcome to go to my Facebook page and you can read it. It seemed to have quite an impact. I thought I'd just get it out the way. The first thing I want to say before I do answer this is I've never met Philip. I've never met Holly. I've never worked for ITV. I have no axe to grind. Unlike many, many people who do and are settling old scores, I have no score to settle. They're irrelevant. I don't even watch the show. So it's completely neutral to me. It's academic. Same,
by the way. Just to be clear, same for me.
It's academic. I just want to make that clear that there's no old score. I don't know him.
No, me
never
too.
met him. Never worked with him. It depends. I'm being really careful here. All right. So please don't lumber me in it, Longie. It depends when he met the young man in question. It depends if they had an affair when that affair commenced. That's all I can say legally.
Oh, I agree. I'm assuming caveat. Everything I just said, I'm assuming that it was legal. If it happened.
It was clear, yes. My view is this. Showbiz is a nest of vipers at the best of times, as Neil and I both know. We've both been on the periphery of it, as I like to say, for a very long time. If you fired everybody who had an affair with someone at work, there'd be about 3 people in showbiz. This is my point. That's the truth of the matter.
And that's what I was saying. That's what I'm saying.
That's fair enough. Having an affair is one thing. You can make up your own moral judgment. I'm hardly going to comment on that. It's none of my business. Sen Monroe says he lied, Longie. David Baum says his crime was to lie.
But if people have affairs, they're obviously going to be protecting people. And who amongst us, if they had an affair, might not tell a bit of a fib to hide it? But again, assuming it was all within Russ's criteria, which I agree with, then again, why is he being treated differently from everybody else? If I had an affair at work, I'm not super famous, and told a fib about it, would I be cancelled? Would it stop me being good at my job? No. And this is what I don't understand.
There's so much here to unpack. One, why the hell everyone's gone raving mad over it when the world is going to hell in a handcart? I don't know. It's a bloke off the telly on a show that doesn't even have 1 million. It doesn't even have 1 million viewers. It's got like 700. No, not at all. Look, this only really comes down to money. And I'm sorry, I say this about so much, but let's just get through all the nonsense. Cut away the nonsense and get to the truth. And the truth is, it's only about money. And I'll try and dice and slice that a little bit, if I may. Put away all moral things and lying. It's down to ratings. This is ITV. ITV, unlike the BBC, which is state-funded, in other words, Neil, you, me, everybody watching the show, apart from Elizabeth over in Manhattan, pays the BBC, whether you want to or not. All right, you pay a license fee. They don't have to worry about advertisers. Commercial television, like commercial radio, relies totally on advertising revenue. Now, in the fallout from all of this, in 1 week, they lost 170,000 viewers. Let that sink in. In a week, they lost 170,000 viewers. What does that mean? Well, one, it means the show is tanking. Two, it means that you pay an advertising rate based on various things, which I won't bore you with, on how many viewers you have. Advertisers are going to get very, very twitchy because it costs a fortune. We're not talking peanuts here. It costs a fortune. They're going to say, wait a minute, we're paying you to advertise soap powder or reclining. It doesn't matter, our product. And now you're not delivering the viewership that we expected and that we were guaranteed. If the advertisers start to pull out, it affects the revenue, it affects everything. So management are faced with a situation. Do we push now and save the show and save the ratings? Personally, I think the show's doomed. I think there's too much toxicity surrounding it, and I think they'll just shut it down. What it is because people in Britain can't stand being taken for being stupid. They don't like being lied to. Being gay. Is this making sense, Neil? Give me a sense check here.
It's making complete sense, and I'm enjoying your opinion, and I'm enjoying the comments as well, which we'll put up in a minute.
Being gay and Neil will go through all the comments in a sec. Being gay in the entertainment industry is about as rare as finding a leaf in the Amazon forest. No one cares. In 2023, no one cares at all. Look at the love, as I said in my piece on Facebook, for Paul O'Grady.
Oh, yeah.
Look at the love for Graham.
I've worked with alongside gay people for years.
It's irrelevant. It's
of both genders, and I'm totally cool.
No one cares.
No
one cares. No one cares. If if you're popular and you're doing a great job, who on earth? No one gives an iota anymore. What people do care is if you present yourself as a family man and all of this nonsense, and that's what's promoted, and secretly. But, again, I would have to say it's none of our business. The only person it really affects is Mrs. Schofield and the children. None of my business, none of your business. Who cares? They've got to sort it out. Not up to us. But unfortunately,
I guess it's he was given the job possibly on condition of presenting as a family man. But I do still think there is a degree. As long as I do want to be clear that everything I said is within the context of as long as no laws were broken. I want to be 100%
do you really
about
think?
That. I'm not justifying anything illegal or inappropriate behaviour, and I want to be absolutely 100% clear about that. Yeah. But there again, if no laws were broken and you've been not railroaded, it's too strong a word, but had to present this image of yourself because of the job that you had, and then there's awkward things going on in your personal life. Why is he being treated differently just to normal people?
One of the hottest properties in entertainment, whether you like him, whether you don't, it really doesn't matter, is Rylan. I can't even tell you his surname. Is it Clark? Rylan Clark. He's hugely popular. He just resonates with a huge swathe of the public. Not with me particularly, but it doesn't matter. I don't have to watch it. Rylan doesn't pretend to be happily married. Rylan is Rylan. That's the end of it. And he didn't have to get the job on the basis, I'm a family man. We'll give you the job. That's nonsense. It was the worst kept secret in the entertainment industry. Everybody knew.
Just to play devil's advocate once more, but wasn't that the way it was expected to be back then? And it was kind of, suck it up or shut up. You have to be that way. Otherwise you don't get the job.
No.
Back then, wasn't it a lot more difficult?
No.
Do you not think so?
I mean, we're not going back to if it was the 1950s, possibly the 60s, even at a stretch the 70s, even at a stretch, maybe, but not after that. Not really. I mean, look at Larry Grayson. Larry Grayson was one of our biggest popular light entertainment stars. And he gave all the clues. That was his whole shtick. Very, very camp, mums and dads adored it. It was a family show. No one said, "Well, Larry, we're going to have to find you a wife." I mean,
I don't
no.
know. It just seems to me, and agree or disagree with me, and again, I say the caveat, as long as no laws were broken,
What they are concerned about.
to lose
Yeah, he's
everything
lost everything. He's
overnight,
done. No, he's done. It's finished.
it just seems
it's over.
overly cruel to me and unnecessary.
There's other things
and it's
to
a
add.
brutal thing, which is kind of in our mindset, in our consciousness, particularly if you're in that industry, this industry.
Well, one of the things, and I live by it, and also if I'm rarely this serious, but I am serious about be nice to everybody on the way up, because trust me, they are waiting for you on the way down. And I've always said it takes no longer to be nice to somebody than it does to be unpleasant to somebody. Now, as I said, I've never worked with Philip. I've never been in the studio with him. I can't say, but there is such a weight of evidence, to use a Hatti Suvari term, if I may, a weight of evidence to indicate that it was a very unpleasant environment of bullying.
I can believe that.
And bullying is revolting. And if any of you, and I've been there myself, Neil has been there, you know who I'm talking about, Neil, that we both shared as a boss. Bullying and working out of fear is a revolting atmosphere in which to work. It's
and it shoots itself in
horrible.
The foot, because if you flip that on its lid and have a company where people actually really know, I've watched flow charts. I'll see if I can find it. It was like a flow chart of the work environment, and at the very bottom, it's the toxic one that you describe, and then there's the next one up, and which is a bit more rule based but fairer, and then at the top one, it's like the management are literally in service to their employees, and you won't have any trouble with employees like that. Quite the opposite. They will do everything to serve you. It's a mutual harmony.
It's not even serving. I think serving
that's work at its best, if you like, at its best level. When it goes down in
together, it's working as a team. Can
we do some of the comments?
Yeah, I was going to say, from leadership, it doesn't matter if you're running a coal mining company or you're running a daytime television show. From leadership, you want inspiration, you want support, you want advice if it's required, you want professional help. That's what you look for in leadership. What you don't want is unpleasant
a narcissistic bully.
No, that's what you don't want. So what has happened is everyone with a grudge who has been badly treated.
Just to say, I was talking about someone from my past there, not Schofield.
Oh, right.
When I said narcissistic bully.
They couldn't wait to come in and go, yeah, I'm going to give this guy a kicking because he treated me like garbage. Why don't you go through these comments, because they're great.
Yeah.
I'll put them up on screen if you like.
I hope I haven't spoken out of turn. I hope I've made myself very clear.
No. Just to absolutely underline what Neil has said. Neil is basing his comments, and Neil, jump in if I've got any of this wrong, because it is extremely important. Yeah. You are saying that if it was all legal, then you're saying it seems very excessive. However, if it turns out that it was not legal, if it turns out that the young man in question was not of consensual age, that's a different ball of wax. Right, let's go through the comments. I will put them up and you can read them out.
Bullying, not so life enhancing. Yes, absolutely. The thing is, Elizabeth, you never forget a really, really good manager. I can remember one from when I used to work at Sainsbury's. His name was Ralph Grant. I remember his name. You never forget them. There were some wonderful people at Capital as well. There's great people where I work now.
Oh, God. And the great Joe Sandilands, who was inspirational.
Yeah, but you never forget an inspirational one. It's like Dead Poets Society in the workplace. Sen says he lied, Longie. Yeah, I hear you, but people do lie to protect themselves, don't they?
This is
and does the punishment, within the caveat that me and Russ said, is the punishment equal to the crime? Is it?
He's never apologized.
Sue says, was the relationship based on coercion?
I got to jump in, and then we'll come back to Sue's comment. If you screw up and you go, do you know what? I'm really sorry, I messed up. British public, by and large, will go, yeah, well, we mess up too. You're an idiot. Okay, forget it. that's kind of how it works. If you just double down, deny everything, continue the lies, and never, ever issue some form of apology, it's a one-way street to nowhere. Sue Sleet, this is so sorry, I interrupted. Do carry on.
Was the relationship based on coercion or truly consensual, give the age gap? That's part, even if the young was of age, and that is a very, very good point. And how exactly would you draw up those barriers?
You know, you're young, you're impressionable, one of the biggest stars in the country, 30 years your senior. I can do this for you, I can do that. Who knows? Who knows? You know. Meanwhile, the war in Ukraine's killing God knows how many people a day, and yet some bloke on a TV show with not even 1 million viewers dominates every media headline. This is a very good point, Neil. Some politicians in the UK would, absolutely, hide their sexuality as recently as the 1990s or early 2000s. Absolutely.
And the reason is, it kind of comes back to my point earlier. You have to be seen as a certain way to do that kind of job. Except sexuality is not easily put in boxes. It is messy, and we're all very different, and it's very, very diverse. I'm talking about, of course, consensual sex, but it's a big old world, and there's a lot of different things.
It's a lot of different. In my humble opinion, says Dave Sleet of ANA, queue jumping made the magnifying glass focus even tighter on his attitude. You know, we can forgive most things. Jumping a queue in the United Kingdom, capital offence. But he was doomed from having to manage the threat of exposure of his private preferences, which is now coming to light. That is the problem. He dug himself a massive.
But this is the thing, though. If people are not breaking any laws, why the hell shouldn't people have private preferences? What business is it of anyone?
It's none of our business. Like, who the hell cares? Look, all you need to think about is, does the guy do a good job? Yeah, pretty good job. That's it. Do you like him? Watch the show. You don't like him? Don't watch the show. Switch it off. What the hell? Dave Sleet again. Would you care to read this? And then we get the
Will you read this one? Because I want to make sure I fully understand it.
Any power imbalance and potential grooming, as they are reported to have been in contact, yes, since the lad was in his mid-teens, yes. It is not an affair against that setting. It all comes down to when this started and what the intention was. But better than that, we've got a fantastic subject coming up. One subject that affects everybody, and to my mind, rather more important than the bloke off the telly. Would you like to do one of your fantastic introductions? Neil Long of New Malden.
Oh, can I just put one more comment up?
Go. Timing. Go on. Timing. Go on. What? What's the timing? Ruin it. Yeah, today. No, absolutely.
And that's the thing. Because some of the laws around the world are medieval and primitive. This is a totally different
Which is
subject.
why I always love the sign.
And I think the education and ignorance on sex in general is absolutely massive. And that's in adults. So how can adults possibly teach the young when they don't know themselves?
Well, they don't know, they're kids. Karen Shortland, unfortunately, in the celebrity showbiz world, people tend to suffer trial by media. Yeah, well, because they love them.
And I mean that on two levels. Either know yourself or know yourself the things to know. Right. Anyway, finally on this, before we bring our wonderful guest on.
One more very important thing from, I've got to find it. Oh, come on, Russie. The Mark Rawley thing is that the police will no longer attend mental health crimes. This is from Liz, who's updating what Dave Sleet said. The Mark Rowley mental health story is plans for the Metropolitan Police not to respond to mental health emergencies from September. They want to concentrate on fighting crime. Really?
But mentally ill people do commit crime.
Don't even get me started. I don't even know where to go with that. Jeez, do not know even.
I can understand why the police. I understand where the police are coming from, but at the end of the day, what they're going to do does not go to anywhere where there's a mental health issue.
Yeah, that's what
then the government needs to get something in place bloody fast.
Well, they're not going to. Right, come on, we're late.
Anyway,
chop.
Anyway, we started with light talk about scams, then it all got very heavy and deep. But now, ladies and gentlemen, the glory, the glamour, the chatty, the Hatti Suvari. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome her to the stage.
Hello. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Russ.
Hello, was that okay? Was that
How are you?
okay?
Hey, don't do that.
Oh, no.
Otherwise, it looks like I'm making you do these things, and I'm totally not.
Of course you're.
How are you both?
We are
No,
okay.
I will say that
I'm suffering from
live
nearly 8
radio.
hours.
You're not making me do that at all. I'm doing it because I'm
not in the least.
silly and I want to.
Let me silly. We are
Thank you,
thrilled
Neil.
to
I
have
love
you.
it.
We are
Absolutely
thrilled
love
to have
it.
you. We love the show. I'm going to try and get you so you're in the middle. So I'm going to have to fiddle about. Phil Dave knows how to do this brilliantly. I don't.
I do.
Oh, all right. We want Hattie big picture. I don't want me big picture. No, that's the last blooming thing. Hang on. There we go. That's what we want. Hattie big picture and us little pictures. Today's subject,
Right.
which you sent to me, and I thought this is great.
Yes, motoring, the fun facts, and what you will be surprised to know. Again, being a bit of a petrol head myself,
Yes,
I'm all over this topic, and there are lots of laws which we don't know, which we think we know, but they're myths, and which we should know. So in this conversation, I'm going to try and tell you why you can drive with up to 25 points on your license. Yes, I said 25. I will be busting some myths, telling you all about the strange UK driving laws, and talking about the motoring laws that are considered a criminal offence, which you could go to prison for. Okay, so we're going to try and keep it light and interesting and bringing you stuff which you wouldn't necessarily know off the top of your head. So let's start with the driving licenses, okay? And I thought this was really interesting because I didn't know this.
Tear down the dotted line is not an instruction, by the way.
Well, there you go. I like that, Neil. Interestingly, the sovereign does not need a driving license. Did you know that? I didn't know that. And this is because all driver's licenses are issued in the monarch's name. So King Charles, for example, can throw his driving license away. He no longer needs one. And the Queen never actually had a driving test. So I don't think many people know of that.
Did she never? But she used to drive in the women's auxiliary corps and stuff like that in the war. She was a very, very competent driver. Just to point out, Her late Majesty.
Yeah, but in her later years, she's not going to say, "Hey, I'm just popping out to Tesco's back in a minute."
Unlikely. You don't know.
You could drive with up to 25 points on your license if you are able to argue in court what is called exceptional hardship. So when you go to court and you're over the numbers of 12, most people know that you get 12 points and you get a ban. But if you choose if you choose to go to court and you say,
only time I've ever been in court.
There you go. And if you thank you, Liz, and if you say, I am going to argue exceptional hardship, which means basically putting a case forward to show to the court that you can't afford to lose your license. And I'm going to give you an example of this or examples. So, for example, if you earn your living as a taxi driver, so if you lose your license because you're going to get 13 or 16 points or 20 points in there, you won't be able to afford to earn a living. Or perhaps you're a builder needing your tools in the van to be able to go and earn your living. Or even if you're a full-time caregiver and the person you care for has got lots of appointments and places they need to go that you have to attend to. It doesn't mean the court's going to say yes, but you can legally, if the court does say yes, have up to 25 points and still drive.
And how do they come off? How do they eventually come off?
In time. So some are 3 years, some are 6 years, and then they start dropping off. But important to note, if you do go to court...
Imagine trying to get insurance. Any points on your license?
24. It's going to get tough.
I got to tell you this of insurance very quickly, Hattie.
Yes.
My little cousin Sammy is early 20s. And he wanted a BMW. He's worked very, very hard his entire life. Don't sell much ice cream at that speed. Anyway, he got a quote for insuring a BMW, obviously used, 25,000 a year. The insurance company wants it.
Doesn't surprise me. Surprise me.
And the woman was on the phone, and the lady representing whatever company it was said it with a straight face. Unbelievable.
Well, no, it's actually not that uncommon. It's not that uncommon, because what the insurers, I just had our nephew bought a car recently, passed his test recently, got his license, and the insurance is asking for more than the value of the car for the insurance. This is first year's insurance, because what they're insuring themselves against is not only if we have to pay for your car if it gets written off, but what about if you're negligent in the accident and we have to pay the other side's costs. So that's why the tariff shoots up. So just on the last point, if you go to court and you successfully argue exceptional hardship, so the court allows you to drive with more than 12 points on your license, you cannot use the same reason again for 3 years. Okay, so if you've argued exceptional hardship in court and got more than 12 points on your license, you can't go back to court to argue exceptional hardship again. You get
Can
one
I tell you my
shot.
story? I was working down in Essex. I was working down in Essex on Essex FM, and I had to start really, really early, particularly on a Sunday morning show, starting at 6, and I was commuting. And they put a speed camera in the most devious place. I had 4 points on my license at this point. All right. And it goes, because the roads go from 70 and then suddenly it changes to 40, and then there's a speed camera. And this is the middle of the night, early morning, and I forgot. That went to 7 points, got the letter through. The next morning I forgot again. That was 10.
Back to back.
And the next morning I forgot again.
Oh, Neil.
And
so within a week? Within 1
3
week?
in a week. I felt like, do you remember that old Bruce Forsyth show, Play Your Cards Right? It was like, oh, it's 10, higher than 10, 13. What a point space. Oh, it's a driving band. Anyway, so I was in court. First time I've been in court. And I was like, I'm really sorry, Your Honour. And I said, but I tried to play exceptional hardship. I mean, sod caring or stuff like that. I had to get in the studio and play Boyzone records. That's exceptional hardship if I can't do that. And you know what? The magistrate wouldn't have it. Bloody cheek.
You
6 months back.
Because he was a Westlife fan.
You do probably need a compassionate magistrate judge to go on.
He was very when I did say, sir, Your Honour, I do think the camera was put in a sneaky place, and he did smile as he banned me. Anyway, yes, and Liz was an absolute brick. That's with a B. Drove me while I served my driving ban and paid back my debt to society.
Lovely.
Michael in Spain is talking about my dad and his dad. He says, I wonder how many points Frank, that was my dad, and Malcolm, that was his dad, would have in today's climate. The number
it's so easy to get points these days.
The galaxy.
It's so easy to get points these days, honestly.
Particularly with those 20-mile-an-hour limits.
Oh,
yeah.
Stupid.
Which are everywhere. And literally, I actually went on a dangerous driving course. I opted for that instead of getting the 3 points.
Too.
I was
dangerous one to learn how to drive more dangerously.
Yes,
well, no, to teach you about and I was doing
speed
42.
Awareness course.
That's it. Sorry.
Awareness course.
Thank you, Neil. I was doing 42 in a 40-mile-an-hour zone, which could have been my speedometer showing me 40. It could have been. And when he said, we got there and you're all kind of really annoyed, and the guy in the front of the class that's going to give this course, he said, do you think it's unfair that you're here for going 2 miles over the limit? And I said, yeah, I do actually. And he said, if somebody knocked over your child and killed them by going 2 miles over the limit, would you still say it was unfair to go 2 miles over the limit? And my jaw just dropped. And I thought, whoa, I'll listen to this course. It was just put to me in that way.
I've been on 2. And the first one, actually, I really enjoyed because the guy, he was so full of knowledge and very enthusiastic about it.
Yeah.
But the second one, I came out feeling depressed afterwards. But actually, I did learn quite a lot. And the statistics.
I did.
The 20 miles an hour are a pain in the arse. But the thing is, if you hit someone at 20, their chances are so much greater of surviving than if you hit them at 30. And then at 40, it plummets down. It plummets down even more. But I still think it's a bit unfair for being done for 2 miles an hour over the limit.
Ridiculous.
I thought it was 10% plus 1.
It's down to the discretion of the officer who's looking at whether to give you a ticket or points or not. So you're talking about the person sitting in the council that gets these pictures and the stats on which car was doing how much over the limit is up to their discretion. It's not by law that you've got. That's another myth that people think, oh, you can go 10% over the speed limit. So if you're in a 70, you can do 77. No, you can't.
I heard 10% plus 1.
No, it's not. There's no by law figure. The limit is the limit. And one thing that I did learn on my speed awareness course is the limit is not how fast you should be going. It's the maximum speed you need to go. Although,
you know what we were told? It's a limit, not a target.
No, I like that. I did learn a lot on my
That's
speed
very good.
awareness
That's
course.
very
So
good.
did I.
Yeah,
It really is
I was
interesting,
really
and
intrigued by it.
you learn why
Yeah.
certain roads have certain coverings that they do. You know,
I
the
actually
coatings they've got
think-
on the roads, and why, and how new rules came into place. Because it's all done retrospectively. Basically, something bad has to happen, and then they put another rule in.
I think everybody should go every 3 years. I really do, and I'm going to come on to that in a little bit.
Well,
but
I
think
did.
everybody.
I did.
Well, you can't, because you can't do more than one in 3 years. Is that right? I think that's the rule. You can only
It's
go
one
to
every 3 years.
Yes, you can only opt for one every 3 years. But most people don't know that they'll be liable for 6 points on their driving license and could be prosecuted if they fail to inform the DVLA of their address change. So people move home and they don't tell the DVLA, but it's an offence. You can't do that. You have to let the DVLA know. You need to renew your license every 10 years, which is something that most people are not aware of, because you have your driving license, you forget about it, but you do need to renew it every 10 years. And after the age of 70, has to be renewed every 3 years. Not doing so if you haven't done so, puts you at risk of £1,000 fine and worryingly invalidates your insurance, because you are asked the question, do you have a valid driving license? You're not asked the question.
Go through that again, please. With
You need to renew your
license.
license every 10 years. If you're over the age of 70, you need to renew your license every 3 years.
And what does renew specifically mean?
Online with you can do it online with the DVLA. So it will have an expiry date.
Right.
You need to renew your license so that it is it's not expired. So the question insurers ask you is not, have you passed your driving test and are you able to drive? It's, do you have a valid driving license? And usually it's in this country, it's, do you have a valid UK driving license? Valid is the key word. And if your driving license is not valid, then you will have invalid insurance. So check your driving license.
Good Lord.
Really important.
Thanks Julie, for
what's
that.
the deal with the
after the
photo?
naughty driving course, we all got on quite well, particularly on the first one. There was a bit of banter between us. And I said, wouldn't it be funny to fire the musical air horns, fire Colonel Bogey, and then wheel spin out the car park in a cloud of smoke?
No, it wouldn't be
Not
funny,
really.
Neil.
It would be funny,
especially
in my
if the
mind.
copper caught you at the exit
Yes!
and said, you have just done some speeding again. Get back in here. Well, you won't be back in there.
What is the deal with having an updated photograph?
Well, it's
on
so
your
that it
license?
represents you. I've not really. What I realised when I updated my license last was they took the photograph from my passport automatically. And I found that really weird. So somehow they said, oh, we don't need an up-to-date photo of you. So they took automatically took what I've on my passport somehow online. God even knows how they did that. And lastly, on driving licenses, you can get your provisional license at the age of 16. Actually, 3 months before your 16th birthday, you can apply, but you cannot take your driving test until you are 17. And you can't go for driving lessons until you are 17 on a public road either.
I want to definitely ask you about certain driving offences, the more serious ones, in a minute, because we don't normally
I'm going to
associate
come to
driving
that.
in prison. Just tell you one very quick one about the second awareness course I went on, and there was a girl there, and she wasn't the, how can I put this, the sharpest tool in the box. And she said, you know, the red X's that are above the lanes. I thought everyone knew that is you don't go down the lane. She goes, I do. I drive down there anyway. I don't care. Like that. And that is exactly how she spoke. And the look on the guy's face was priceless. And I must admit, I didn't think that was funny, because that is blimmin' dangerous. Red X means don't go down that lane, period.
It's extremely dangerous when some idiot thinks, I know, well, the traffic's terrible, as I was nearly in 8 hours of traffic yesterday on a business trip. And think, well, we just use the hard shoulder. No, the hard shoulder is for emergency vehicles, you idiot. It is not for you to just go zooming up. You're straight through exhaust and you're.
I've got a really good idea. Let's use the hard shoulder as an extra lane and make these things called smart motorways. That'll help.
They realise it's a terrible mistake.
No, indeed.
Don't get me started on that.
Driving without valid insurance. I think we all know that it's against the law to drive without insurance. So being caught without valid insurance carries a minimum £300 fine, 6 penalty points, can result in anything up to 8 penalty points, as well as a driving ban of up to 12 months. So it does depend on the circumstances, but we all know what that's about. Generally, the highway code changes. I mean, the highway code, for anyone that's interested, dates back to 1931. And in recent years, there has been lots and lots of changes. But the most recent and significant change is that drivers, motorcyclists, cyclists, horse riders, and horse-drawn vehicles states should give way to pedestrians at a junction. They should give priority to pedestrians waiting to cross, not necessarily if they were already crossing. And that's how it was before. So before, somebody had to be already crossing before you had to give them way. You didn't have to give way if they were waiting to cross. Now you have to do that. Cyclists are advised to ride in the centre rather than on the side in moving traffic when approaching the junction to make themselves more visible and more visible. I still can't get over the fact that a cyclist riding on the road does not need insurance. I think they should have insurance.
Apparently lights, or apparently understand what a one-way street is.
Yeah, and red lights. I see lots of cyclists obeying the rules, but the amount I've had 2 cyclists scratch up my cars.
Yep.
I see them jumping red lights all the time.
Yep,
and if they jump to red light at a junction and a car hits them, and the car's going the way it should be going, down the road it should be going, it will be the car's fault. And they've got no insurance.
How? Why?
Because they shouldn't have because they've hit somebody on a bicycle.
It's not their fault. How can it be?
You should be
madness.
You should. I know. It is madness. It is absolutely madness.
Hang on a minute. Let me just get this right. In law, if I'm driving down the road, doing exactly what I should be doing, breaking no laws, and a cyclist who is breaking the law, and I hit him and it's his fault, that's my fault.
But a cyclist isn't breaking the law, are they? Because there's no laws for them on the road. That's why there's no insurance, right? They should see, because the law, the highway code differentiates between legally binding and what is not, which is must and should. So must is legally binding, should is guidance only.
So let me get this right. Cyclists are only operating on a should. So basically, the only law that is enshrined in law, legal, is that cyclists can. So it's basically not unlawful for a cyclist to jump a red light. It's just advised that they shouldn't.
That's right. That's my understanding. That's how cyclists operate. I have been next to a police car where cyclists have just stopped and just keep going past the red light in front of us to cross over very, very busy junction. The police car's not doing anything about it. Policemen are not doing anything about it. I know that they shouldn't ride on the pavement. They shouldn't ride where it's pedestrians only, and that could be walkways and things like that. But I've seen cyclists go through one-way streets, up a one-way street, through a no entry, even in central London where it says no vehicles, buses only. You get cyclists in there, they and it's endangering their lives, really.
In your opinion, would any court of law convict me if I was doing nothing wrong and it was the cyclist's error, no matter what's enshrined in law? Would any court of law really convict me for that?
Well, I think you've got to look at what is enshrined in law is that you should not, as a car user, hit anybody. I think that would be the starting point. I'm not being rude to you,
Hatti, at all. This isn't directed at you. Yeah, no shit. Of course I shouldn't. But if if I'm doing exactly what I should be doing, and right, okay, another case, right?
It's like people. Hold on, Neil. It's no different to somebody jumping in front of your car to walk. You shouldn't hit them on the road. You should be going slow enough or be able to stop in time to not hit them, right? If you hit somebody, God forbid they die, but you're going within the speed limit, they've still died. It doesn't mean you get off of an offence. But if you're doing driver 20, to take due care and attention. I know, it's terrible. But let me finish this bit. Let me finish this bit, and then
because I want you to answer these two questions.
When the highway code states must and must not, if you don't do what it says you must and must not, then you're breaking the law. When the code says you should and should not, it's guidance only. Although ignoring best practice can still have legal consequences, but it's only guidance. Okay, so as I
All right.
said, when we're talking about cyclists, and it's a big topic, cyclists, because I think it's great to be able to get on your bike and ride to places if you can do that.
Totally.
But
Absolutely.
the amount of cyclists I see that do break highway code laws, because I haven't certainly seen, and please correct me somebody if I'm wrong, where the cyclists have a highway code entwined with cars and lorries and trucks and buses, even horse carriers, as we've seen. I don't see. I mean, I see them breaking the law all the time, and I just think you've got to at least have insurance. I think you should have that, and I think if you're in a road, you should abide by the rules when you're riding down the road and it's a red light. You should stop. I've seen cyclists knock over people crossing the road because they've jumped. They're not, they're not being
and whose
careful.
fault is that? The pedestrians? Was the pedestrian not taking due
depends.
care and attention?
Then we get down to the nitty gritty, don't we? Because
I mean, if I'm doing 29 miles an hour in a 30 zone, and then suddenly out of nowhere somebody runs out of me and I hit them, and let's say very sadly they're hurt, then that's my fault, and I wasn't taking due care and attention. Bullshit. I was within the speed limit, and I didn't see them because they were coming too fast.
Well, cyclists are, I mentioned they're in this hierarchy of road users, so they come sort of after motorcyclists, then you've got the cyclists. But if there are laws that cyclists have to abide by, I'm telling you, 50% that I've seen on the road, because I do a lot of break the laws. And I haven't seen one cyclist, in the press or it being reported that actually they jumped a red light and they got done for it. You shouldn't be jumping a red light. You shouldn't be riding on pavements when it suits you. They hop on and off pavements to suit.
Let's go through. I want to go through these questions because I'd love the answers from you, Hatti Suvari of Get
If I know them, I certainly will.
Grandpack,
Yes.
I think you've dealt with it, but let's knock it on the head completely. Are cyclists allowed on the pavement? Is there a difference if your wheels are below a certain size or young children are cycling? That's question number one.
My understanding is that cyclists are not allowed on a pavement. That's my understanding. However, I've seen cyclists on a pavement, and I've seen police officers, and I've seen nobody say anything to anybody. Everybody understands that children will be cycling on pavements because,
so they should.
That's where they should be. Absolutely. Yeah.
And I hate it when cyclists put their little tiny kids behind them.
It's scary. It's really scary.
It's terrifying because what kind of parent are you? Karen Shortland, I see cyclists on their phones. They're not listening to headphones, etc. Why can't they be caught and prosecuted in the same way that vehicle drivers are? Asks Karen Shortland.
Again, Karen, I'm not aware of any rules and laws that says cyclists have to have both hands on their bicycle. I know that there are laws to say you have to have both hands on a steering wheel. Yeah. Actually, the law says if you take, and this is the crazy thing, I did a podcast on this, because if you're in a McDonald's drive-through, you have to take your hand off the steering wheel to pay. You are actually breaking the law by doing that. Did you know that?
It's a private road.
It's
a private road. It's not on the main road.
That's a very good point.
Property.
But if you take, and there was that person who actually was reported in the news where they were drinking water in their car at the traffic light, something that most of us probably do. And they got prosecuted for it, for taking
but I've seen loads of cyclists. I've seen cyclists with a can of drink in one hand, or soft drink, and a phone on the other. No hands on the handlebars at all. Right. Let's go through. Let's deal with this. This is a very good one from Liz. I'm pedaling along fast. See what I did there. I've seen cyclists issue with fixed penalty notices in central London by police. So what can they be fined for?
Wearing lycra. It's a crime.
I honestly don't know. Maybe they are. Maybe they're the very few that are starting to, prick up the eyes and ears of police officers, where they are getting a bit stronger and stricter on what cyclists should and shouldn't be doing.
If only they built.
I see a lot that cycle lane soft. I think that needs to be strange facts. Yes.
Grandpack. So I know, because this really is so hard to get your head around. I know Neil and I are both struggling with this. So if Grandpack says this, if I go through a green light and a cyclist goes over a red light from the right-hand road and smacks into me, am I at fault?
Well, the insurance company has got no one to argue with, because the cyclist has no insurance. What you could get is the cyclist, if they're hurt and their bike is damaged, and hopefully they're just hurt and nothing else, could go to a no win, no fee, personal injury claim, accident claim, ambulance. They argue you're at because you're not driving with due care and attention not to hit somebody on a bicycle. And the argument will start from there. I mean, it could go either
How
way,
can
Graham.
it be, in that context, how can it possibly be driving without due care and attention?
Because you should have stopped. You should have seen somebody on the road and you should have been able to stop in time. That is what you're supposed to do.
Would be an
Backside,
automatic
you're going to
reaction to
stop
do that.
those, is nuts.
But then accidents happen. Accidents do happen
they're
where it
called
was
accidents.
inevitable.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And they
exactly.
don't call them accidents anymore, Hattie. They call them collisions. And I think it's because everyone, in some way, I had a chat with a guy that does some work with the police, working on sort of legal the law of the law, if you like. And everyone seems to be looking for culpability. It's got to be someone's fault. If a brick falls out the sky, all right, or no, not a brick. Bill's going to put that there. A meteorite falls out the sky. Someone's got to be responsible, and that's why they don't call it accident anymore. They call it collision.
Blame culture.
Because someone, and we're so deluged with laws and culpability as a society, and some of it, when you break it down like we are here, does seem really, really unfair.
No, absolutely. I mean, let me tell you some strange facts that you may not know. You cannot let your dog hang out of the window. Rule 57 of the Highway Code states that your dog should be secure. Well, should be secure or suitably restrained when traveling to avoid distraction or injury. And this one got me totally. You cannot drive with your radio or music at excessive volume under Rule 148.
Yeah, try that in London.
Well, I listen to music and I do crank it up a bit. I have to say, Rule 148 of the Highway Code, because you are directed to avoid distractions such as loud music, because it could cut, and I get this bit, it could cover up other important sounds, for example, police sirens.
Yeah,
yes, I understand. Yeah. It could also cover up signs of breaking the law and it being your fault.
Yeah. Yes, you cannot drive, and this is important because I didn't know this for a very long time, significantly below the speed limit, because you will be an increased risk to other drivers. Police class that, believe it or not, as careless driving under the Driving Offences Act 1988. So
my dad was pulled over for driving slowly on the motorway. He says, well, I'm not in a hurry. Just let him go.
Fair play. But you can be a danger to other users. I just want to quickly cover what are criminal offences, right? Oh, you can't use duct tape on a dog, Graham. I just saw that.
As long as it's secure, he's in the law.
No, stop it. Stop it.
No.
Right.
Dangerous driving, criminal offence. Yes. Drink driving, we all know that. Drug driving, criminal offence. All of these are criminal offences. Failing to provide blood, urine, or breath specimen. Failing to stop and report an accident also comes under a motoring criminal offence. Okay. Yeah. Just very lastly and quickly, frequently asked question I have found is, do I have to inform my employer if I'm convicted of a driving offence? And we're talking about criminal offences here, not just I've just got 3 points on my licence. Yes, because any criminal convictions have to be disclosed to your employer immediately.
Really? I didn't even know that. I didn't know that.
Any criminal offence have to be immediately disclosed to your employer, and obviously it will come up on your DBS, very likely on your, as well as your enhanced DBS. So there you are.
When you just going back one about what was it, leaving the scene of an accident?
Yeah.
If it was just like a little dink and it wasn't a serious one, and we just swapped insurance details, that has to be reported too.
You have to report everything to your insurer, even if back in the day.
To the insurer or to the police?
To the insurer, because the insurer is the person that you're legally obligated to inform. Okay, and if
but you would do, wouldn't you? I mean, if you're going to claim on insurance, you'd have to, wouldn't you?
No, I remember back in the day, they used to say, "Listen, I'll pay your costs.
Pay your cash, leave it, forget it,
or whatever."
And go, okay.
And obviously, to the police, if accident involves the people, and there's conflict there. If someone says, "I'm not leaving. This was your fault. I want the police to come and see this," and sometimes you do get police coming up to scenes where there's been accidents, but you must report it.
Hattie,
I think
yet again, you have
shown Graham. I don't know what the legal ramifications are of this.
Next week, we'll be handling Graham Pack's divorce, obviously, through Hatti Suvari of Get Legally Speaking. Graham, very funny, but you're very naughty. Hattie, thank you so much. Absolutely terrific, as always.
Thank you so much.
And sometimes you think, what? And I know, judging from all the reactions, everyone's going, I never knew that. I certainly didn't. We'll see you next
Thank you,
Wednesday.
Hattie.
Thank you,
so
guys.
much. Thanks for
Lots
everybody.
of
Always a
love.
pleasure.
And always
Thank you.
never,
Back at ya.
never a chore. See you
Bye.
Friday. Bye, gang.